If you are experiencing foundation issues, get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
Joining us this morning is Bill Roberts from Safe Family Services. Bill, good morning to you, sir.
Top of the morning.
It is top of the morning to you. 1998.
Big year.
Yeah, and Bill was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 1998, and we roll into 2000, almost finishing 2019. A great honor for Bill last week in Montgomery. We're going to talk about that shortly. Bill, talk about this morning how 1998 has evolved into 2019.
Well, I was a full-time firefighter, and on January the 1st, 1998, I was on duty, and I woke up and my whole left side was numb. Didn't know what was the matter, but as soon as I got off at 7 o'clock that morning, I went to the emergency room, and then they sent me to Birmingham, and the next thing I knew, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, which meant I couldn't be a firefighter anymore. Blew me away because my sister had MS, and they said it was not hereditary, so that was the last thing I expected. I thought I'd pulled a muscle or something, you know, and so it was like the end of the world almost. But as with almost anybody that faces a challenge, it's not the challenge, it's what you do with it. And I had the most wonderful family in the world, and the people of Sylacauga who backed me up and put their arms around me and let me know it wasn't the end of the world, and that, you know, when one door shuts, another one opens. So
you could have easily have given up. 1998, multiple sclerosis, and a lot of people watching this morning across the state and will be viewing this on YouTube later on. They know the history of multiple sclerosis and a lot of times the end result of multiple sclerosis. You could have easily quit, but you didn't.
Well, I didn't, but it got worse before it got better. By 2002, I was heading to the wheelchair, and by the end of 2002, I was completely wheelchair bound. And in 2005, I weighed almost 400 pounds and was catheterized and on oxygen, and they gave me 14 months to live. And I'd been on everything you could take for MS, including chemotherapy, plasma exchange, all these things. And I'd gone in the hospital several times when I didn't think I'd come back out, and the first one was it just scared me to death.
Talk about that one.
And, you know, I just didn't think I'd come back out. And I had 2 young sons and a great wife, and you know, sometimes there's things that are more than we can handle. And I was laying there in the hospital, and it just came to me. I said, Lord, this is more than I can handle. You just take it. And it wasn't like lightning striking or thundering or anything, but it was like the weight of the world was lifted off my shoulders. And all the stress of things just left, and I just started living every day like it was the last day on earth. And I think sometimes you have to face your mortality to do that, but every day is a gift, and it's an opportunity to make a difference for other people. And not too long after that, I found some things that helped me progress and get better. And not too long after that, I got involved with SAFE, and we decided to start a community garden. And it was just like, man, this is what I was meant to do, you know. So we started this little garden, and it's grown, and I just revel in every day because it's an opportunity to get out there and do something to make a difference for somebody else.
Bill Roberts, our guest this morning, and Bill in 1998 was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. He was a firefighter here in Sylacauga with Sylacauga Fire Department. And, you know, as we continue along in this life story for you, you were able to connect with several organizations that was really, really a blessing to you and encouragement to you. And there's one story you got to share this morning. I've got the tissue here somewhere. We may need that, but what a powerful story it is.
As many times as I tell this, I usually tear up and my hair on my arm stands up. But when I was in really bad shape with my MS, I was involved with a support group, an MS support group in Talladega. And at this one particular meeting, there probably were 35 or 40 people there, and maybe 3 or 4 could walk. Everybody else was in wheelchairs, including me. And we did what we do. We talked about our medicines and our caregivers and our symptoms and new things and all of that. But at the end, the lady that was in charge of the meeting said, okay, I want everybody to get in a tight circle. I want wheelchairs touching. So it took us a few minutes of wheeling around. Some were power chairs and some were push chairs. So we finally got in a circle and she said, okay, you're touching, you're close to each other. I want you to show the love. Everybody put your arms around each other and show that you love each other. So we did that, and there was this silence, and she said, now stand up.
Oh, wow.
And there were people in that room that hadn't stood up in 20 years. And it hadn't been 20 years for me, but it'd been a while. Every one of us was able to stand up, and there they go. And she said, you did that because you did it together. Look at how much more you can do together than you can by yourselves. And I thought, my gosh, how simple is that? And why can't we all do that? You see all the fussing and carrying on. Put your arms around each other and see how much you can accomplish. There's so much more strength in numbers. Nobody can do everything they want to do by themselves. Everybody has strengths and everybody has weaknesses. It doesn't matter what your limitations are. You've got a gift that can make a difference for somebody else. I remember going to a nursing home right after the bus service started here. I said, take me to the nursing home. And they took me, and I said, who hadn't had a visitor in the longest amount of time? And they sent me to this lady that had Alzheimer's, and I rolled in there and I said, I'm Bill Roberts. There was this faraway look on her face. She didn't say anything. And I thought, well, now where am I going to go from here? Well, about that time, she said, you know McGregor Roberts? And I said, no, he died before I was born, but that was my grandfather.
Oh, wow.
And she proceeded for the next 2 hours to tell me things that I'd never heard about my family before. Most of them were good. But I left that room 2 hours later, and it felt like my wheelchair was about 12 inches off the floor. And probably 5 minutes after I left, she didn't remember I'd been there. But for the time we were together, it was medicinal for her, and it was more than medicinal for me. And I started going back there every week. And I did that until we got involved with this garden, and I just don't have as much time to do that anymore. But it made me feel useful again, you know. And that's as simple as it can be. Find something that you can do that can make a difference for somebody else, regardless of what your limitations are. Just tell somebody today that you love them.
You know, disabilities, and a lot of people face different types and
we all do.
Disabilities.
Well, we're all going to.
Absolutely, one way, shape, form, or fashion. You are now a part of SAFE Family Services, and got started with a garden, and it was small to begin with, but just look how that has grown due to people working together.
Right. And, you know, I love the garden, but my biggest goal in that garden is for it to never end. I want somebody to take my place when I'm gone that can make it even better than it is today. Make it better. Make them forget me. You know, I'm just a little cog in everything, but we're all little cogs. You know, just make a difference.
October was a special time for you when you were nominated for an award here in Talladega County, and not only it didn't stop there, however.
No, I was amazed that I got that. It's amazing you can get awarded for something that you love doing and that's fun. And I was humbled by it because there were other people getting awards that certainly deserved it as much or more than I did.
What was it about?
It was the whole award program was based on disabilities, on people with disabilities or people that work with people with disabilities. And there's a entity out of Talladega. It's a state-run organization called Rehab Services, and they're available for anybody that has disabilities to help you be able to make a difference, to be able to make a living if you need to, if you can, and they'll do everything they can to help you gain the things you want to gain. And they provided me with a lift for my wheelchair for the back of the car, with a trailer, with a golf cart to go around the garden when my MS kicks in, hearing aids, what? But all they want to do, they don't want to work for you. They want to help you be able to work, help you be able to make that difference.
There was a young lady.
My caseworker was a young black girl named Brittany Urquhart, most wonderful girl, and from the day I met her, she was never just my caseworker. She was my friend. And we call each other back and forth all the time. And she's the prime example of it's not what you have, it's what you do with what you have. You know, you can carry on, you can moan and groan about your problems and your challenges, but it's not going to do any good. It's not going to, groaning and moaning is not going to make it any better. Just forget that. Just do what you can do. I can remember there were times when every day I'd find something new that I couldn't do anymore. But almost invariably I'd find something else that I could do that I hadn't done before. Have you ever seen this guy, Nick Vujicic? He has no arms and legs.
Oh, yes.
You know, he's amazing. It's not what you do, it's what you do with what you have. And
now this young lady, she was visually impaired, right?
Yeah, she's totally blind. And she has a lady that takes her everywhere she needs to go. And we would, you know, in that situation, I'd figure, well, you need to come to Talladega and meet with your caseworker. No, she came here. And we'd meet at the library once a month. And it was always a wonderful occasion. She didn't say, okay, now we're giving you this, but you've got to meet certain character specifications, and you got to do this and that. What have you done today? Let me tell you what I've done today. You know, it was always that way. It was always positive. And it was always something that I looked forward to.
Getting back to the award ceremony in Talladega, now you were presented the award, and really, was it the Disability Workers Award, or what? How was it?
Well, it was a governor's award for the American Disabilities Association, or something like that. I can't remember exactly how they put it, and I did not know I was going to get an award at this. It was a banquet. And
you're going to eat, what?
Well, they asked me to come and speak on the garden or on working with disabilities. And so I get up there, and there's a table of contents or whatever you call it sitting there, and there was nothing on there about a speaker. So I thought, well, what is this? You know, there's nowhere. I figured I'd speak right after lunch. Well, there's nothing there. Well, it wasn't to speak. It was an awards banquet, and I was not the only one that got an award either. There were some wonderful people there. But now, and I didn't even know it went further than that, but about 3 weeks ago, I got this call from this lady from the state and said, you know, you won that county award, well, now you've won the state award. And I said, what state award? But anyway, they had another banquet, and it was, you know, there in Montgomery, and there were maybe 15 or 16 other people that won awards, and all of them were just, it was very inspiring.
You mentioned to me before we came in here about a gentleman who was visually impaired who sang the national anthem. They started
the banquet off by with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then they said, please remain standing for the national anthem. And the music started playing, and I figured it was just going to be some piped in something, and this voice starts up, and you can tell from the get-go that this guy's got a voice that could belt it out there when he wanted to. But we were indoors, and so it was a case of he had to keep it kind of toned down. But even with that, it was absolutely the most moving rendition of the national anthem that I've ever heard. It was right up there with Whitney Houston's at the Super Bowl. I mean, I had tears running down my eyes, and even though the banquet went on after that, I was thinking about that song the whole time.
You went to him after the banquet?
Yeah, as soon as the banquet was over, and I didn't even know, I couldn't even see the man when he was singing it. And I just happened to notice where he was, and that he was, you know, that somebody was leading him around. And so I went up and put my arm around him and told him how moved I was by that rendition. And I said, that one came from the heart, didn't it? And he said, it always does. And that's the whole gist of the whole thing. Everybody that was there, even the presenters, you could tell every bit of this was coming from the heart. These people love what they do. And of course, I'm so fortunate that everything that I've ever done, I've loved what I was doing. And I think it's really a part of faith and a part of who you are. If you love what you're doing, you'll do the best you can at it. And not everybody can say they're happy with where they are or with what they're doing, but I am, and I'm thank God every day for it.
Final few minutes with Bill Roberts, diagnosed in 1998 with multiple sclerosis, very successful here in the area, not just in Talladega County, but was awarded a state honor just last week. And, you know, Bill, holiday season is here, a lot of joy, a lot of happiness, but there's a lot of people watching this show today that are struggling. It may not be with MS, but it's with something, and they dread the Christmas season. Encourage those people this morning before we go.
Well, the Christmas season is about giving. You know, my mother, the first time my mother said it's better to give than to receive, I thought, what kind of a saying is that? It's never better to give than it is to receive, but I was totally wrong. I don't care what your limitations are. I don't care if you don't have a nickel. Give of yourself. Make a difference for somebody. Go tell them you love them. Go do something for somebody else. It doesn't cost you anything. It'll be the best thing that you ever did in your life, and you'll love it so much, it'll feel so good to you that I just can't tell you how good it feels to do something for somebody else. It comes back to you 1,000 times.
Right quickly, is there connect the dots here for someone who may be dealing with a disability? Maybe they just need some guidance as to where to go to get assistance.
Rehab Services is the best place in the world. Now, I should have brought a little card. Okay. I've got Brittany's card, and I can supply you with that, and you can give it to them at a later date. But just go to the yellow pages for Talladega County and look at for rehab services, and I'm sure it's in there.
And Safe Family
And
Services
Safe
in Sylacauga.
Safe Family Services is there to help. That's all they do is help people. And if you got a problem, if they can't handle it, they can send you to somebody that can. It's a great place.
Bill, Merry Christmas to you. Thanks for coming by this morning.
Thank you.
Bill Roberts, our guest this morning on Daybreak Live. Final thought after this.